Welcome to Higher Education Advocates Podcast. This podcast is about supporting students and families as they navigate through the post-secondary complexities of college. From time to time, I will touch base on current events. Expect to hear jam-packed information that includes strategies and tips. The goal is to empower families and help them make informed decisions. Expect to hear from higher education professionals, HR professionals, tax pros, mental health professionals, financial aid administrators, students, parents, plus more. My name is Teresa Harris, and I'm a college financial aid expert. I'm also the founder and owner of Scholarship Momma. I have a master's in higher education, and I am an alum of Robert Morris University in Chicago. I'm a wife, mom, and grandmother. My heart is for our youth, but the information I'm sharing is relevant for all age groups. When it comes to college, my experience as an adult student was fantastic. I was eager to learn and ready to start a new career, and the only way I could pay for college was to borrow loans. One thing I failed to realize is the impact student loans would have on my future. I borrowed thousands of dollars during my undergraduate career, and as time went on, the amount I owed ballooned. As of this recording, I'm still paying off student loans, and I completed college years ago. For the record, I don't have anything against student loans, but I do believe in responsible borrowing, which is something I didn't do. As for the podcast, expect to hear from me on a bi-weekly basis. This podcast is available on Anchor FM and Scholarship Momma YouTube channel. For more information, check out my website, www.scholarshipmomma.com. Welcome to Higher Education Advocates Podcast, and hello to my new listeners. This is Teresa Harris, aka Scholarship Momma. This week guest, Melanie Moore. I am in awe of her background, and I'm going to let her tell you who she is. Tell us.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Teresa. And I'll go over me quickly because I like talking about the work. Originally from Chicago Public School, went on to Michigan State. While I was a student at Michigan State, I started teaching elementary students higher order mathematics. I'm speaking trig, calculus, physics, different engineering concepts to 5th, 6th, and 7th grade students. And it started going so well that a principal took me in and was like, hey, we need you teaching. At the time, I'm 18, 19 years old. So I started teaching at that time, and it really just grew. I mean, my students were performing exceptionally well. They were passing the entrance exam at a college level very early. So did that for a while, was asked to come to Chicago to work at schools here, eventually became a principal. I was nominated for the Presidential Award, Teaching Excellence under the Obama administration. I was at the White House the second time in 2015 with Michelle Obama for what my seniors, at this time I'm a principal, for what my seniors were doing and how they were persisting through college. So I love education. I love teaching. I'm a mathematics person, a STEM person. So that's the gist of it.
Okay. I told you all I was in awe of her background. That's why I had to let her tell it, because I am very, very just impressed with that. So tell us, what inspired you to have a love for education?
When I started working with the young students at Michigan State, first of all, I remember one time I'm working in the cafeteria at the time, and I may be a sophomore engineering student at the time. And this white boy in the cafeteria tells me that Black folks never contributed anything to science and technology. And so I was well read at that point, and I knew differently and I knew better. So I had to correct him on that. And so when I started volunteering at the school, just being able to see the genius in young Black children and see what they're capable of, there were literally no limits to what they could do. I mean, there's this one kid, he's grown now, probably 30 plus years old. CJ was a first or second grader at the time. and he was able to do and understand calculus. And so it was really no limit to what was possible. And so that was just motivation for me to keep going. My principal, the one that brought me into education, is Dr. Fred Rivers. And she was a master teacher. And she also she taught me how to believe in the supreme excellence and intelligence of Black children.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. So tell us a little bit more about Black Math Genius. What is Black Math Genius?
Well, it's something that I love. Okay. So, Black Math Genius is a program that I created, and people can get it at blackmathgenius.com. It's a program that I created to, it's the 3 A's, if you will. One is African centered. That's important because it shows Black children that their people made contributions, not made contributions. We gave the world mathematics. Okay. So it puts Black children at the center of their learning. It is application based, meaning that we're not just doing mathematics for the sake of doing mathematics. Most of your high school mathematics courses, students don't need. They can stop at algebra because it's not relevant to what they're doing in life. And so we make sure that the assignments, the concept that we're giving them is applicable to real life, from area and perimeter up to studying coding and cryptocurrency. And so it's also very advanced. And so you can have your third grader, your fourth grader, your sixth grader doing concepts that they would normally see until they were in high school or even college.
Wow. So speaking of cryptocurrency, just so I can be clear and the listeners, are you saying this is a part of Black Math Genius? Cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency, yes. And so repeat that part again about the cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So this is a part of the program, cryptocurrency?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
and
wow.
So
Go ahead.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency, as well as using the programming language that they use to create cryptocurrency, and that's Python. And so very early, I showed them how to use the Python programming language to program their own calculator.
Okay, now, you're going to have to break it down for me now. Okay. So Python, just to be clear, Python is a programming language, is what you're saying? It's a programming
language. It's a programming language that's one of the languages that's used as part of Solidity, which is another programming language. But those are the programming languages that's used to create cryptocurrency.
Okay. And so what is cryptocurrency? I mean, I've heard a lot about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, but I just don't know anything about it. And I know our listeners probably, or some of them don't know anything about it. Can you give us a little bit more details about cryptocurrency? Exactly what is that?
Oh, man. Well, I can tell you this. If you remember what the world was like before the internet, okay, and how we can't possibly imagine living without the internet right now.
Yes.
The same thing is going to happen with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, children that are born today, let's say if there's a child that's born, coming out right now, born today, chances are that child would not ever walk into a bank, because they will be using decentralized finance. So cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency, but it's so much more than that. There's where you have digital insurance. Your properties are digitized. So if you own a property and you want to sell maybe 7% of it, you can tokenize your property and sell it as pieces of a token. You've probably been hearing a lot about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is digital art. What's so cool about art is on the digital platform is that when you sell it, you can forever get a portion of every sale that happens because you can program it that way. I mean, so it's massive. The most famous being Bitcoin, but there are over 9,000 different cryptocurrencies. I'm currently invested in about 175 of them. I mean, it's literally it is already putting in the beginning steps to be the future of a lot of things.
Oh, you just blew me. Wow. I am amazed with that. And that's part of your program. So you know what? That lets me know that you are preparing our future. So this is excellent.
That's the most important part. Preparing them for a world that we can't even imagine. A lot of times we like to place our limits on children, right? And we say, oh, we're majoring in this or consider majoring in this. How about just teaching them how to think and how to be great and how to create? And then we don't have to put what our majors are up to date, because many of those majors will be irrelevant.
You heard it. Okay, listeners, you heard it. So speaking of that, what do you think the future entails for higher education? Because we know right now, since, turmoil, the pandemic has turned higher education upside down, inside out. It's a new way to teach now. Let me have your thoughts about that. What do you think the future of higher education entails, especially about majors now, since you just mentioned that?
Yeah, well, it's time to be torn down. I mean, you can take a teacher from the 1900s and have her walk into a classroom today, and there wouldn't be much difference than from 100 and something years ago. The classrooms are still structured the same. Instruction still looks pretty much the same. It is extremely outdated and is doing our students a disservice. So with higher education, first of all, it has become a money pit, because you should be able to attend college, graduate, get a job that would allow you to pay off your student loans in 5 years. It only took you 4 years to get it. So why are you paying for something that over your whole lifetime? The other thing is that there's so many students that I'm running into that have a degree and they're working at Amazon. What was the point? They could have stayed and started at Amazon early and have made it to manager, have a much higher salary, and not have the student loan debt. And so I think that it is in trouble. It should be in trouble. And that education is going to have to look completely different. And not just from the way in which we're receiving education, but what actually the education is itself.
Wow. Okay. And then, having said that, what do you believe are some pros now to get into college education? I mean, like you said, a lot of students are working for Amazon. The economy has changed. Is it, are there some pros now to get into college education?
Yeah, I mean, you want your doctor to study.
Yes.
You want your CPA to study. So those high-paying, high-skill set jobs where you need that intense hands-on experience, those majors are necessary. Students are getting like a psychology degree. I have a lot of students that are getting psychology degrees, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? Right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, with some things, you can pretty much get a degree just from Google.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, you can go to the course website for whatever the university is in your local area, see what the books they're going to use, see what flow they're going to follow, take the test at the end. I mean, you can really have a self-governed degree in many cases. And there are some professions that you can't do that. I think what we should be focusing on is that we should have a forward-thinking approach. Like right now, more students, in a few years, more students will be interested in having a degree related to social media than anything else. And we can like it or not like it as elders. It's not our time. It's going to be their time, and they will determine that. And so we should be creating the space for them to be able to practice that while they're in school. School should change. School should look differently every 4 to 5 years. At least every 10 years, tops every 10 years. But it should look differently because the world is constantly changing. And we still have yet to be teaching any type of courses on wealth building. And we wonder why the poverty rate between poverty and wealth, why that gap is increasing. Well, we're still not getting that. It needs to be taught.
Yeah, and I so agree with you on that. And I just wanted to share with the listeners too. You are so right, Assata, regarding that, because my background is college financial aid administrator. And I think earlier this year, I made a post saying, you don't need a degree to do what I do. You don't. It's really on-the-job training, extensive on-the-job training, but you don't need a degree. And I am one of those students who owe loans, but you don't need a degree. So you are right. We need to really think about education. We need to be doing some forward thinking on how it can become better. But having said that, what do you think you just mentioned, you think wealth building and social media should be some future majors. What else would you consider? What else you're thinking about? Maybe some future majors or something that's, that can help our youth, because that's what we both love. We have a love for our youth. So what's your thoughts behind that?
I think a class on self and love. And what I mean by that, our children don't have great coping skills.
Okay.
And we've been through, I look at, some of my students, I hear them post and they're so flustered and I'm having an anxiety attack and this and that. And then I'm like, I didn't have that in my 20s. I dealt with death. I dealt with a number of different things, failures, blah, blah, blah. But I was still a happy 20-something-year-old. And that's just not the case. So knowing how to cope with life, how to deal with self. But also, if we think about the two things that make the world go round,
yes,
it's money and love. It's money and love, or you want to call it sex, you want to call it whatever it is that you want to call it, relationships, what have you. But those things need to be taught, and not from a standpoint of us forcing something down, but having the space to discuss it and explore it. And I don't mean, explore. Yeah, I don't want to go down the tube here, but I'm speaking about relationships and just having conversations about those types of things. Those are important. As I said, wealth building, those are the two major things: relationships, love, money, and then future, forward thinking. Those would be some of the three things that I would suggest. And the fourth thing would be programming, learning how to code.
Cope. Yeah. I agree with you on coping, because it's much needed. And I second what you're saying. In my 20s, I wasn't stressed out either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to cope with it. So I agree with you on that one. Well, Assata, tell us, what can we expect from you in the near future? You got a lot going on here. What can we expect from you?
I do. I'm hoping, anyone that's in the education system, I don't care, from preschool to higher ed, that they would consider checking out the program. And so I'm in the West Virginia School District this summer and doing a Black Math Genius program for some of their students and their families. I'll be working with Olive Harvey Community College here in Chicago to create a program to get more students interested. They had a program, they wanted 35 students. They got 4, 2 stayed. And so if we look in Chicago in particular, the number of Black male doctors, if we just look at Black male doctors, since the 60s, that number has been decreasing. Wow. So I'm trying to do things to increase the number of students of African descent, Black students that are majoring in STEM fields. And so I'm doing that from Chicago to the East Coast to the West Coast. That's my purpose. That's my drive. That's what I love. And then I'm a full-time investor on the side. I invest in real estate, cryptocurrency. Those are my two major ones.
Well, let me go on record to say thank you for investing in our youth and, having that push for more African-American doctors. So thank you for just having that investment in our youth. I just love to work with people that have an investment in our youth, because I have a love for the youth too. Yes. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So is there anything else that we should know about you that we didn't discuss today?
The biggest thing, let me reiterate, I believe in the supreme intelligence of Black people. Our children are so much more capable than what we think they are. And when we let them raise that bar, it's amazing the things. I've seen it. I've been in education for over 20 plus years, so I know what's possible. But we have to be able to give them the supports and the resources that they need to bring out their intelligence. And people can find all of the information. I don't do all of the social media handles. My website is theentrevest.com. That's THEENTREVEST. I basically combined the words entrepreneur and investor. So theentrevest.com, and they can find everything that they need there.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And that was my last question. And so if they want to contact you, they can go directly to your website.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, look, thank you again for taking the time to talk with me and my listeners. Thank you for all of your information. Listeners, until next time, I will see you.